Hello, everybody, and welcome back to LSL 30. We are getting ready for our grand finals match between ZESTFEST and Fatal Air. My name is Flyer, joined here by Nox. Nox, first and only best of 7 set that we have going in here, so these two teams are in for a ride.
They definitely are. We don't see a lot of best of 7s these days, but they're always really exciting. I've definitely seen a lot of reverse sweeps in different best of 7s, and both of these teams have the potential to do incredibly well here.
We've seen both of these teams on stream, Fatal Air against C getting that 2-0 win, then ZESTFEST getting that 3-1 win over Blitzwave. Both of these teams ready to go head-to-head here on Splatzone's Museum d'Alfonsino. So this tournament's been going on for 4 hours and 42 minutes at this point, I believe. That is a long time to play, especially, you know, maybe in low level with not a ton of breaks, but we are down to the last two teams to see who will make their mark, and we will crown a champion hopefully within the next hour or so. We'll see.
Yeah. What I will be interested in seeing here is both of these teams have been running anchors. And I know ZESTFEST, we haven't seen them pull out any chargers of any kind, which Fatal Air has pulled out E-leaders before, which can put a lot of pressure on any other anchor in the game, really.
Yeah, it really can, and I think too we've seen, you know, kind of a lot of chargers here, and it's all about really controlling the spinners, I think, with splat zones. But it's, you know, all about kind of that opening push, opening cap, and what you can follow up on after you initially claim the zone. So again, I always love the backliner choices of what we've seen, because I think those are the ones that are a little more unpredictable. Shooters are a little more predictable what we can see. So yeah, it should be interesting, should be fun to watch. Yeah,
they are definitely, there is nothing wrong with shooters, to be clear. They're just, we all know what their jobs are. I'd say if you're even, like, especially if you're just starting to look into comp, it's the easiest role to understand the basics of. I think it's one of the harder roles to do at a really high level. This could be coming from a support bias place in my brain, though. But it's definitely, but shooters definitely fill a lot of different niches, but they can all get a good amount of paint down. They can all apply a lot of pressure. They can all hold space really well, along with having that great mobility that really sets them apart from other classes. Whereas a lot of other things have more niches that you have to have teammates set you up for.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, I think, too, and how well you were able to follow up on that. Let's get started here for our grand finals. Once again, we are looking at ZESTFEST versus Fatal Air. Taking a look at these comps, the first thing that comes out to me is the Firefin choice on the side of, I believe that's going to be ZESTFEST, and then the Wiper Deco and the Brush coming out on the side of Fatal Air.
Yeah, that Wiper Deco is actually going to be a bit of a pain for that charger. Chargers are not as used to having to deal with missiles as they used to. We are seeing a slower opening out of Fatal Air, and one of them going down in the process. But they are by no means in too rough of a situation. It is the start of the game. The Wiper able to find a great pick there, probably getting fairly close to missiles. There they are. And we are seeing this Splash trying to play some cleanup, keeping that Wiper alive throughout that, and have a crab tank at the ready.
Yeah, ZESTFEST able to cap pretty quickly and hold on to that, but not before Fatal Air able to take it over and take control of their own. We saw the Wavebreaker, we saw the Crab come out as they're able to get some key picks and lose control of the zone. They do have the player advantage to try and cap, but do they have the players who are at the ready? And I don't really know, but no, it's not going to happen. ZESTFEST able to take it over with having a few players hopping in there to mid. Missiles now online for Fatal Air, spotting some of these ZESTFEST members as they are going to lose control once again. I believe that Fatal Air is going to be losing control once again as Fatal Air now has control again. But again, just all this back and forth special movement. It is really truly a battle for mid.
Yeah, both of these teams are doing a great job of just continuously keeping these specials up, continuously kind of staggering them, which is something that a lot of teams tend to struggle with. And we are seeing the Splash looking to find a pick on this right side, going to be able to find the 52 gal, not a fight the Splashes often get to win there due to the time to kill difference. And we are seeing that Crab Tank at the ready, but the Tetra is all the way up here, probably going to find a pick on this Brush, but not quite, as the Wiper is able to come in, help play cleanup, and the Brush pops this whale to really start clearing out some space.
Yeah, that's such a hard position to be in, but I guess that's what it kind of goes in the enemy favor if you push up so far. But yeah, ZESTFEST, they're doing a very good job just holding on to mid. You know, not a ton of paint output on the side of Fatal Air. I believe ZESTFEST kind of wins that fight, and it just goes to show how well they are able to control mid and kind of get these picks. But Fatal Air still really trying to find any opportunity that they can to get control. But right now, it doesn't seem to be working out for them. ZESTFEST losing control every so often, but not before getting it back in. Fatal Air using some of their specials, trying to push forward. Is this going to be the cap? Yes, it is.
That is a big cap there for Fatal Air. Without that, that would have just been game, really. And we are seeing them trying to find a good way to set up a hold. They haven't quite managed to, but they're not out of the game, especially with how many penalty points ZESTFEST has to work through. We're seeing the Splatoon really being able to start moving up here, taking advantage of their own missiles to move forward, putting a lot of pressure on that Tetra, able to find that pick. That is an absolutely huge pick, really disrupts their ability to get back in. And another huge pick there out of the Viper. Great job creating a pinch with that splash player.
Yeah, I mean, this is really what ZESTFEST needs, or at least now in this position, as Fatal Air were able to get some more points off the board. And speaking of points off the board, players off the board too for ZESTFEST. With just under 2 minutes here, this is where you really need to be careful with some of your lockouts and be focused on your callouts, identifying where all of these players are, as Fatal Air still in control, using this crab, trying to avoid some of these shots coming from the Fire Fin. The Fire Fin is now going to be down, but Fatal Air getting rid of some of their penalty points, still pushing through, even pushing up on the enemy spinner, trying to get some splats, but they are going to be losing control at this moment.
Yeah, and the Splash is in a very scary position right here, but luckily the 52 gal chose to focus something else. They're able to get a safe jump out. We do see the Viper go down. It is a 2v2 situation. It is by no means a set game yet by any shot of the imagination, and there is a lot of time still left to play with by Splatoon standards.
Yes, absolutely. And even though ZESTFEST has had control this entire time, it's not without saying that Fatal Air has had their moments that they have been able to break out and make a push. But of course, as there's less time on the board, it's going to be a much harder opportunity for them to try and push forward. But 2 players now, and ZESTFEST going to go down, but it doesn't matter because they're still going to get that cap and get the win and win game 1 of this best of 7.
Yeah, and I do think, admittedly, that Zones might favor ZESTFEST a little bit over Fatal Air, just because Fatal Air wants to play those really hyper-aggressive, really mobile games, and Zones just doesn't favor that as much. The Viper doesn't love that as much, and neither does the Brush. And on that map especially, unless they can get over onto that plat area where the spinner is, it's really hard for them to set up a ton of control with those 2 weapons. Whereas with a counter pick, they'll have a lot of room to work with whatever they want.
Yeah, they will. And of course, as this is going to be Fatal Air's, they haven't had, I don't believe, any opportunity to make counter picks because they swept their semifinal opponents 3-0. They were not in that position that they had to be put in. So yeah, this will be a first for them. But again, a lot of back and forth between those 2 teams. But ZESTFEST just seemed to come out on top, and I think it really came out just because of their paint output. They just had the upper edge on that side.
Yeah, paint makes such a huge difference in all modes, obviously, but especially zones where you can kind of just make sure that you recap more often, keep the penalty points on the other team, because Fatal Air had some good holds, but they always had penalty points reapplied, and having to constantly work through those takes a lot.
Yeah, it certainly does. And that's the hard part about either like having such a strong lead where you have those picks. Oh, our counter pick, by the way, is going to be Rainmaker Scorch Gorge, if you didn't notice.
Which makes
as we hop into a lot to talk about as we hop into game 2 here. We are going to see the Tri-Stringer come out on the side of ZESTFEST. We're going to see that Brush Wiper Deco E-Leader combo coming on for Fatal Air once again.
Yeah, and I think that I really like this counter pick from them. It makes a lot of sense with what they're doing. They want to play this really fast, really aggressive game, and Rainmaker will absolutely allow them to do that.
Yeah, it certainly will. Just kind of having that fast-paced, quick aggression. I completely agree with that. We are going to see a 1v1 here. The Brush is going to walk away with that one, taking it on the splash. 2 players down now on ZESTFEST, pushing up towards this podium as a few players drop from the side of ZESTFEST. And this should be a clear path to the podium. They are going to get this dunk. So a slightly different pace from what we saw the last time ZESTFEST played Rainmaker.
Yes, this is definitely a pace that Fatal Air prefers. They like these really fast, really aggressive games. They're looking to get some jumps in here. Not probably going to be able to with the E-Leader having to back off quite a bit, but the Viper, I believe, jumped into a beacon they had set up in mid, so they're already going to be able to regroup pretty nicely here, and they're getting close to having some specials online already.
Yeah, they are. They did such quick work of taking control of mid as well and knowing how to push up as a team and to get some of these splats. So a very good decision making there for ZESTFEST as they get the checkpoint. Just need to touch the Rainmaker, push it an inch in order for them to take the lead. But look at this. There's going to be a flank on the side of Fatal Air, but not before ZESTFEST able to take the lead, getting it to 55. So now it's going to be Fatal Air who's kind of playing from behind. And this is just such a skirmishy match, Nox.
It is, and this is a really good situation to be in if you're Fatal Air. You have some specials to work with. You're probably getting pretty close to missiles, although your splash has gone down, taking out that crab tank. But they do manage to clean up that 52 gal. Great job there on the part of the Rainmaker, backing up, able to get that pick. Looking to find this pick on right side now. Looking to with that brush by their side, and not quite able to find it yet. They have backed up quite a bit, looking to maybe go through left, but it's just the splash up. They should be able to get lead here.
Yeah, and they were just trying to be a little bit patient as the rest of their members were able to really clean up and get some picks, which is how Fatal Air got all the way to 34 in that situation. And these are the moments where, unless you're throwing all the aggression towards a Rainmaker, it's likely going to go in ZESTFEST's favor of it being reset. But Fatal Air wisely just backing up and trying to control mid, knowing that, hey, it's going to reset, we're going to control mid, we're going to have to try and make them struggle if they want to break back in. And that's exactly what ZESTFEST is, or that's exactly what Fatal Air is doing at this moment.
Yeah, Fatal Air plays really smart games when they have the opportunity to. I do think that map mode that we saw them on previously was really rough for them. I don't think it suits their comp very well, and I think to some degree they were aware of that, as we're seeing them really being able to set themselves up beautifully here on their counter pick.
Yeah, they are doing such a good job just kind of holding on there. But now, if you're ZESTFEST, the next move is to just kind of play a little patiently. And unfortunately, they are going to be going down, you know, between the Wavebreaker and having the Wiper Deco there. Pretty hard to avoid the kind of the chip damage that's going to be thrown at them. But still in control, trying to take down this brush. But no, the brush is going to wisely back up. Rainmaker is going to pop as it looks like ZESTFEST still in slight control of mid, but Fatal Air making a pretty good push as they have a 2-player advantage.
Yeah, Fatal Air are going to start moving up here because as long as you're pushing the Rainmaker, the other team can't be. And the further you have it away from your spawn, your objectives, the better it is. And Fatal Air is doing a great job of making sure that it's in awkward positions here. Making sure it's not being left on their ramp or anywhere that can be easily taken advantage of, so they're able to regroup in safer ways, allowing this Splash and this E-Leader to try and stay alive and get the picks they need.
Yeah, and look at this, ZESTFEST opting to pick it up. I believe it was going to reset pretty soon, but you have to take all opportunities presented to you when you have a 2-player advantage. Going to have to avoid this whale. Oh, it looks like they were going to, but I believe that was a bomb that came out, maybe from, I don't know if it was from the brush or from somebody else, but they are going to be going down as ZESTFEST still trying to pop and push this. But look at this, the brush is there to get the pick on Lucio, who's going to go down. So if you're ZESTFEST, you got to do everything you can to try and pop this Rainmaker as you have some players alive pushed on this left side. They're going to wisely try and back up, but is the brush going to get a double? Yes, they are, but it looks like they are still trying to throw all of their players at this Rainmaker.
Yeah, I will say that this must feel like an overwhelming situation to be in to some degree for ZESTFEST, with how right now it must feel to them like Fatal Air is kind of just everywhere they want to be because of how fast that comp is. Admittedly, the E-Leader is not as fast, but usually the E-Leader has the Rainmaker, and it seems like they're choosing to back it up relatively far. No, they're just choosing to move it over to that left side, looking to keep it safe here. Not necessarily where I would love to see it taken, but it's working out for them really well right now, and that's what matters.
Yeah, and that's what's going to give them the win and actually tie up the set 1-1. You know, I think too at that moment you want to pick it up so you make sure that nobody from the enemy team is going to just get a sneaky kind of cheeky Rainmaker pickup. And you know, even if it's a little risky to pick it up and say like, hey, I'm going to put myself in a position that might not be the safest, not going to push up super far, but I'm going to guarantee that I know who has possession of the Rainmaker at all times, and it's me. We don't want anything funky to happen, especially if you get splatted. You kind of know where you need to position yourselves. That would probably allow some of their members to jump back if needed. But yeah, that maneuver is what is going to give that's what's going to give them the win.
Yeah, I will say that I've found it to be safer to take it to that bottom right area where they have to push so far if they do manage to pick you off. But the E-Leader did make a good choice, knowing that they'd have to push through all 3 of their teammates in order to get to them, and it worked out really well for them. And I'm very interested in seeing what ZESTFEST chooses to counterpick here. I'm expecting to see TC out of them. It seems like a mode they'd like better. You don't really want to deal with a Brush and Wiper and Clam Blitz, so...
Yeah, that is a dangerous combo to face in Clams. This point, and with ZESTFEST making the counter pick, they could go back to Rainmaker, but of course you also don't. A flanking Brush and Rainmaker, and he's just going to circle around the Rainmaker and spot you. That's always so difficult. So yeah, we'll be curious to see what ZESTFEST counter pick is going to be at this one.
I can't imagine they'd want a map like Humpback or anything that allows for a lot of very free-form movement. They're gonna probably want a map like Mako or Inkblot, where there's a lot more stability and consistency, because that's what their comps tend to prefer, versus Fatal Error, who wants to run around everywhere. Manta Maria I can see going either way, but TC definitely is a smart pick for them.
Yeah, Tower Control Manta. I don't know how often we've seen Manta so far today. I don't think it's been... Yeah, very often at all. But you're right. I agree with you on. I like the tower control counter pick for this one. I think, in particular for ZESTFEST, like you said, you want to watch out for the Brush and maybe have them change what they're going to do. Watch out for the Wiper as well. Missiles on this one could be pretty dangerous to face, especially if you're on the tower, knowing how you have to hop back, not knowing which teammates are behind you if you hop in their path of the missiles, and you just got to be extra careful.
Yeah, I will also say I would expect to see ZESTFEST Heavy come out again here. It's a map that Splatlings just thrive on. All the greats, all the height. This is not a map where your Heavy rides the tower. This is a map where your Heavy applies a ton of pressure from a distance that's pretty safe, and even if there is an enemy charger, they don't have great options for positioning. So the E-Leader on the side of Fatal Error is probably going to struggle a bit here.
Yeah, I would say so too. Just really tricky positions that you need to put in, if you need to be in if you're a charger, that you might not be in the most safe position here. We're going to see the Tri-Stringer. Of course, we're talking about the backlines because they're really the only ones who are switching it up. And we are going to see the switch from the Ink Brush to the Octo Brush here for Fudge. So we're going to see some Zipcaster action, which I do actually enjoy.
Yeah. Especially on this map, there's a lot you can do with Zipcaster. There's a lot of really unique angles, and we are seeing double trip strike coming out of ZESTFEST here. So if we reach the end of the game and they have lead, they're definitely in a situation they like. Sauber here moving up really quickly to try and get some pressure. Looking to find a pick, did already on the E-Leader, but looking to find more, and that is 2 down on the side of Fatal Error.
Yeah, and a lot of paint output between the Junior, T-Tech, and Neo Splash. So if they can control mid and just control all of the paint in front of the tower, they are going to allow the Tri-Stringer to be put in positions where you didn't know maybe a Tri-Stringer would be in, and get some nice key splats as they quickly get by that first checkpoint. Still working on the second checkpoint. We see the Junior and the Brush 1v1. That's going to end in a trade. Now it's going to be the NZAP getting on the tower. 3 players now down on ZESTFEST. Looking for the last one. That is going to be a delayed wipe, but not before ZESTFEST gets to 55.
Yeah, ZESTFEST doing a great opening push there, but now we're seeing a Tacticooler come out, setting up Fatal Error to be able to set up a very aggressive push, which is what their weapons kind of need. The E-Leader setting up here on these grates, looking to find a pick on the Tri-Stringer, but might not be able to find it too easily with how they're positioned.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a little tricky for them too, as we see a lot of players just kind of dancing around the tower. A few of them backing off due to these missiles, but now 2 players down on Fatal Air. That's going to be a pretty nice pick on it. Looks like that's going to be the Neo Splash who's going to go down on the side of ZESTFEST, as Fatal Air trying to just get a little bit more map control. But again, we just talk about the paint output from ZESTFEST as far as how you can contest it, and that's why we see this NZAP trying to put in some extra work to overcompensate for it.
Yeah, the NZAP is their main paint, which is a little bit challenging. Admittedly, Brush and Wiper aren't weapons that care a ton about the amount of paint they have to work with, but it always helps to have more map control. It never is going to hurt you to have more map control. It just allows you more mobility and more options, but we are seeing a great Zipcaster here out of this Octobrush, able to find a pick on the T-Tech, which is going to get rid of some of those trip strikes that were probably going to come out relatively quickly, and they're able to start moving up here, getting out through this right side, trying to find a pick on that tower, but the Bubbler comes out, and we are seeing those missiles ready, and maybe the Brush should have held on for just a second for those.
Yeah, oh man, that was such a rough timing for them too. Is this jump out going to happen? Yes, it is. Oh my gosh, the killer whale was just on on the squid. I wasn't sure if that was going to be able to work, but you know, really not much has happened as far as changing of the objective. Just a ton of skirmishy movements here in the last 2 minutes with ZESTFEST kind of getting that initial push, getting to 55. But Nebula here trying to push up, taking down the tri-stringer. Yes, they do. 3 players are now going to go down on ZESTFEST. That's going to be a delayed wipe here. So Fatal Air needs to capitalize on this opportunity, push forward, and get past his first checkpoint as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and we are going to see this wave breaker at the ready, probably going to get popped relatively soon as those missiles have come out. They're going to be looking to get through this next checkpoint. Admittedly, they don't need to get all the way through it to get lead, but it's way better to get all the way through it than not. They do need some people moving up in front of the tower. The brush is going to be ripped back behind their zip caster relatively soon, but they do go down before that happens, and they do manage to get that checkpoint. That is a hard checkpoint to get. Once you get that, this game opens up a lot.
Yeah, it really does, and especially once you round this corner too, where you have the height advantage, as they seamlessly still are on the tower and 2-player advantage too. Third and final checkpoint. Fluffy just waiting on the tower, trying to get some paint around. Wavebreaker thrown on the tower to help make this push happen, and it's going to work out for Fatal Air. And Nox, you called it right when they got past that second checkpoint. It was so hard for ZESTFEST to try and break back in.
Well, it's just such an easy situation to keep paint on the tower and to keep jumps coming in from, because that E-leader can consistently provide in those jumps, and that Viper has the missiles, and they just, that checkpoint in the hallway is so hard to break through, that once you get through it, there's just, it's a weird domino effect that's been very noticeable to me since S2, and it's a very consistent thing, and Fatal Air is now up in the set.
They are up in the set. You know, coming back and winning game 2 and game 3. ZESTFEST will once again have another counter pick. The only mode that we have not seen yet is Clam Blitz, but they could still choose Rainmaker. They could still choose Tower Control. But we know they can't choose Clam Blitz on Flounder Heights because that combo is not in the map pool list.
They might want to. I don't know what they're going to want to go with here. I'd imagine that they're feeling a little shaken after losing on their counter pick. That's always a hard situation to be put in. It doesn't feel great. I would like to see them go to like an Inkblot or a Mako just because it seems like they're very comfortable on maps like that. I would genuinely prefer to see them go back to Tower Controlled and Clam Blitz, to be fully honest, if they want to win.
Yeah, I think Tower is a good option. It's just like that was a hard counter pick, I think, with having Manta and really knowing what you needed to do in that situation too. But I agree. I think Tower, you know, could be a good counter pick for them. And you know, we kind of talk about the comps and how ZESTFEST just has more paint kind of at their disposal, which didn't really seem to be an issue for Fatal Air on this game, as they had a lot of support to just try and get some picks here and there. And yeah, for that one in particular, you just kind of get past the first checkpoint and hope you can get to the second point and just roll on from there and get the win. And yeah, that's what Fatal Air did.
Well, and the tacticooler they were running really enables them to play that game. They can just keep rushing in and trying to find the picks with their 2 really aggro frontline weapons, with their 2 skirmishers. And so you want to put them in situations where jump-ins matter less. I'd imagine smaller maps might work a little better here for ZESTFEST, looking for those more compact spaces, as we are going to go to Clam Blitz Inkblot. So I was sort of right.
Hey, we're seeing all 4 modes within the first four games, so that's what I like to see. That's what I like. And I mean, Inkblot Clams, I think that's a pretty solid choice that you can make.
It is. The Brush and Wiper don't have as many silly little ways that they can get in. They don't have as many options, which is what you want to do here. You really, obviously their other 2 members are doing a lot, but they're doing a lot in the way of moving the objective and keeping paint on the ground versus the Zap actually was finding a ton of picks, so that's not fully fair to say, but they're not finding those key openings and brute forcing them the way the Brush and the Wiper are. Yeah,
and kind of having two points of navigation for this map on this mode, just kind of pushing up the steps and then up. I think the Brush could really thrive potentially from going up the ramp and kind of stirring chaos by Garlic and by the tree up there, and just making kind of the defending team scramble if they're in a position where they can make a push. So yeah, I'll be interested to see that too.
Yes. It's definitely going to be a very interesting match. I'm intrigued to know how it will go. It also is getting to... It's also still not game point because this is the best of 7. No,
That's
it
right.
is. I just no, it's not. I'm right.
Yeah,
I can do
yeah,
that. I know how to count before.
No, it's okay. It's it's a little different here with winning 3, going up 3-1. You still aren't fully still haven't fully capped it yet, but we'll see if Fatal Air can put themselves in match point by getting this win, or we will see if ZESTFEST has something else up their sleeve.
Yeah, I like seeing that Lytra coming out. I like the zip cast on this map to be able to displace that leader. I also really like seeing the C-Jet come out. That rain can apply a ton of pressure. The Toxic Mist is also going to be able to slow down everything a lot and limit the amount of ink that Fatal Air can put out.
Yeah, I think Toxic Mist here too, especially on Clan Blitz, having it really as a defensive mechanism is going to come in handy with kind of going up this ramp and preventing any, I'll say, quote-unquote, easy pushes that somebody might make. So any shenanigans that happen. Speaking of shenanigans, take a look at ZESTFEST here, pushing up towards the enemy basket, trying to get some picks. 2 players going to be down. Killer Whale coming out now for Fatal Air. But I don't think the push is over yet, but ZESTFEST just hasn't had a power clam. And it looks like here will be the Tetras, who might be in a position to form one as they have 6. They are going to have one now, but going to have to back up back to mid, but still not without having control of most of the map.
Yeah, happy to see that Tetra pass the power clam. Not necessarily something they want to have. They want to be able to have a little more secrecy in their movement than that, and that is 2 down on the side of ZESTFEST, and we are probably going to see Fatal Air trying to capitalize on that. Viper up here putting a lot of pressure on this Jet Squelcher, but the rain and the mist come out, stalling out that ramp area. But we are seeing a beacon come out. This can allow them to apply a lot of pressure very quickly. Whale's out, and it looks like they're really trying to push in through this left side, but they're getting pushed hard by this gal.
They really are being pushed hard by that gal, and I think what's hard is you have 2 power clams for ZESTFEST. That it's, again, a permanent point sensor, but look at this. There's going to be a jump for ZESTFEST. Are they going to break the basket? Yes, they are, so that's going to cause panic for Fatal Air as they're going to have to back up. The Zipcaster is now going through, trying to get some of the members in spawn, but not before getting spotted. 2 players down now as this jump is going to be landing, so getting to 62 with ZESTFEST having something up their sleeve. Not a lot of map control, but they are the first ones to make a big move.
Yeah, and that was just good awareness out of them. We've seen them pull off pushes like that before, like in that Humpback game. They're very good at finding those openings that they need to find. We are seeing the Brush attempting to make something work. They're running a lot of QR. It's not a huge deal that they went down there. Always helpful to remember which of your opponents have QR and not. Like, it's still good to take them down, but they might not be gone for long.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they're gonna be back pretty soon once that happens. But yeah, ZESTFEST still able to just kind of hold on a little bit as Fatal Air trying to make a push, throwing some of these clams forward, and unfortunately going to go down for some of them too. And a lot of 1v1 action going on over here by the ramp and by right stack as well. But Fatal Air still trying to find an opportunity to push in. They've had map control quite a lot of the times, but they now know that they have to be aware of ZESTFEST and the potential and dangerousness of their jumps, and then using the Zipcaster to just cause even more chaos.
Yeah, always important to do that, as we are seeing the Brush taking advantage of this tactic lure to play a little bit more aggressively, to take a few more risks, attempting to get up that ramp, not quite able to, and we are seeing that Zipcaster coming out, going after the Rainmaker.
Yeah, they are really chasing down the Rainmaker, but the Zipcaster is going to have to go back to where they spawned from. And it looks like the 2 players now on Fatal Air are pushed back just a little bit, where ZESTFEST gaining even more control of mid, but they don't really have any claims that they're working with now. Tetra's able to take down the Ink Brush, and ZESTFEST still in control of mid. But yes, once again, no power claims formed quite yet, trying to push in, but Fatal Air still on the lookout, getting some key picks.
Yeah, good missiles coming out here from this Viper, able to really start moving forward, but the zap has gone down to something, and it looks like they're just trying to find space to work within mid. Brush not going to be able to take out that crab on its own, though, as we are seeing just Fatal Air having a really hard time getting in, which is kind of what we were expecting from this counter pick, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. As with just about 1 minute left, you know, Fatal Air, they've been in positions where it looks like they were going to make a push, but ZESTFEST just seemed to be one step ahead of them almost the entire time. But now ZESTFEST getting even more control of mid. I don't think they've had this much control throughout the entire game as they've had right now, and this could be a pretty dangerous push as a few of their players are going to be pushed up. It's going to be the Gal pushing up to the Tetra's now trying to 1v1 the Wiper. Tetra's going to walk away with that one. Now getting down to 43 more claims going to be coming in, but they're going to be opting to jump out. Yes, they can make it, but this is where you need to be on the lookout. If you're Fatal Air, you pretty much just have one chance to get some of these claims in.
Yeah, it's definitely a risky situation to be in. We are going to have that wave breaker at the ready. They have that tactical alert. 43 is by no means an undoable push, especially since they already have 15 clams, but they're getting rushed down by that Zipcaster yet again, making it really challenging for them. They do manage to take out the Tetra, though. That is huge for them. They have the tactical alert out. They need to start moving forward here. They're probably going to want to pop this wave breaker, and it looks like they're able to, but the Crab is going to be out and ready soon, but maybe not. They do manage to take it out, but there is no one with a power clam to get to the basket, and we are running out of time.
Yeah, and you have the splash who has, it looks like that's going to be 7, but here's going to be, I thought it was going to be, it's okay.
Yeah, they were just a little short.
Yeah, okay.
I think they were just a hair too far away, and that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. Oh man, so such a close game there, but ZESTFEST able to tie it up 2-2 in this best of 7 sets. So still keeping us all on our toes or in our seats for this set. But yeah, very, very good push there from ZESTFEST.
Yeah, they did an incredible job there of just keeping up pressure. And now we are going into a game 5 in our best of 7. Still not going to be the set once this one's taken, though, because neither team will have... I'm doing math again.
Not match point yet for either team.
Not match point yet. Yes, exactly. You know, sometimes you have a history degree and you try and do math, and you remember why you have a history degree.
Oh man. But hey, this is gonna be Fatal Air's counter pick for the second time. They were able to do it for game 2. And they chose Rainmaker Scorch Gorge, so we know we can't go back to Rainmaker for this one. They did win in tower control seamlessly, convincingly, if you will. So I think that could be a counter pick that they might want to have here. And of course, we saw all the modes in the first 4 games again. I always love to see that. And it's not even a 3-1 set where you pretty much have to have where you need to be in that position. But yes, so this is I don't even know what to expect. You know, I think we talk about the difference between paint output versus what Fatal Air just has up their sleeve for this game.
I would be interested in seeing them actually go to another Clan Blitz map. I think that they can do really well on them. I think that was not the map for them, but I think if they go to like a Humpback or even you know, anything that allows for their high mobility to really be taken advantage of. They need those maps that allow them to play their very fast-paced, very run-around-you game. And Inkblot doesn't do that. There's a reason, like, a lot of the very popular maps from 2 didn't allow for play like that. And that's one of the big differences in 3, is that we do have more maps that allow for those really skirmishy type of plays to happen, and we also have less missile and ray and armor spam, which helps the skirmishy playstyle a lot, admittedly.
It certainly does. We're going to be going on to Splat Zone's Umani Ruins. So, admittedly, not a map mode I see all the time. So I'm very intrigued by this pick, but I'm also very excited.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see the Brush liking it. There's a lot of open space for them to run around on. The Wiper is going to be able to put out missiles, which can apply a ton of pressure on a map that tight-knit and that compact. E-Leader can reach across the whole thing. I don't know if they're going to want to stick with Leader, but I don't think we've really seen them switch off of it. So I imagine they stay with that. And we're probably either going to be seeing that V-Splash or that NZAP come out, both of which can do incredibly well here.
Yeah, I think so too. You know, this is one of the split zones maps where I always think that mid is a part of the zone, but it's not. So, and I personally struggle with the zones where if you can't see both zones at the same time, it's a little more difficult for me. But this one, yeah, I think what you said, kind of the NZAP and knowing when to push forward, knowing how well you need to maneuver is going to be very important. But
Yes.
let's take a look at these comps too. Again, we're kind of talking about kind of what the backline choices are. We're going to see the heavy come back out too, which is going to be interesting. That is going to be, yes, the heavy Deco with Point Sensor and Kraken.
This is an incredible heavy Deco map. It's a weapon that really does, but Splatlings in general do incredibly here. There's a lot of greats for them to play with. They've got a decent height advantage. The leader should actually have pretty decent sight lines on them though, so that will keep some pressure on them. T-Tech going down early here, that's absolutely huge for Fatal Error to be able to really get this going as they have 2 down and they're tacticalered. They can really chase down these last 2.
Yeah, for real, and especially with that jump, a very risky jump, but still able to survive. ZESTFEST able to hang on. Can they move and push forward enough to take out the E-leader? I don't think they will be able to. Going to have some strikes of their own as well, but missiles on them at this moment as they are trying to win some 1v1s. It's going to be trade, but 3 players going to go down on Fatal Air, and ZESTFEST able to cap.
Yeah, E-Leader is going to want to focus on survival here. Brush is going to be looking to get that killer whale ready to give them openings into mid. Seems like that Kraken's already been popped, taking out the E-Leader, which is taking out the Zap, sorry, which is a huge pick. Really slows down the pace at which they can play the game. And we're going to be seeing the E-Leader attempting to find a pick here. Not going to be able to yet. Going to be forced to jump back from pretty much their spawn, which is not what you want to be doing.
No, yeah, that's going to be a very tricky position, and ZESTFEST needs to capitalize on this and push some of their players out. And it's especially identifying where the E-leader is, because sometimes you can put yourself in a position where you don't know that you are in plain sight of them. Some strikes coming out, which very good strikes, really trying to push forward, but now missiles going to be coming out on the side of Fatal Air towards the zone, as Fatal Air finding an opportunity, trying to push back in. We'll see if they can cap.
Yeah, they're just going to want to start out here by stalling one of the zones. That gives them a chance to work with a little bit more time. They're able to capture that right zone, which is absolutely massive for them. Going to be trying to cap again here. Not going to be able to find it yet as the brush goes down, and they did not manage to get penalty here onto ZESTFEST, which is what they really needed. And now they're pretty much out of time. I don't know how they make this happen here. The Zap able to stall out this zone. Not going to be able to find a pick, though. Trying to survive this Kraken. Not going to be able to slap us. They're trying to stall out these zones. They just haven't managed to cap. It is just the wiper up, and that is going to be game to ZESTFEST. Yeah,
just a lot of waiting of, okay, we think they're going to cap it. When is it going to happen? And a lot of... Fatal Air did everything they needed to do in that position with just throwing all of the paint onto the zone. And honestly, I think it lasted a little longer than what they maybe thought at that moment, but what else are you going to do in that position? So yeah, ZESTFEST getting that win, and now for the first time we are in match point of this best of 7 set.
See, I got used to best of 3s and sets of 3s, so I got confused. Too much Ink TV time, really. I am really interested in seeing what Fatal Error's next counter pick is. Hopefully it won't be their Fatal Error.
Yeah, and we know that they cannot go to, it looks like they cannot go to Rainmaker or Tower Control. So they could go, I think, or...
they could go zones, they could go Clamblets for sure.
Yes, that's right. But yeah, and of course, with, ZESTFEST kind of... us seeing all 4 modes, ZESTFEST were able to... That's why they went back to zones. They knew zones was the one they were most comfortable with. You play all 4 modes, you can go back and repeat. And so, actually, I believe that is a situation where Fatal Air is in as well, too, because all 4 modes have been played. So I had to like think through that a little bit. I'm like, wait a minute. They can choose Rainmaker, they can choose Tower, even though they've won on those, because yes, we have seen all 4 of those. So if I'm Fatal Air, I'm thinking one of those 2 modes. I'm thinking... what are your thoughts, Nox? What do you think they're kind of walking through?
I'm thinking they go Clamblets or Rainmaker, to be quite honest. I think Manta was a tower control map that really worked for them. But I think in general, I think Inkblot was a map that truly didn't work for them. But I think on maps that favor the kind of comps they run, Rainmaker and Clamblets are going to be their most consistent options, because they favor that really fast-paced play style where you don't have to worry about the pace the objective's at, because you control the objective.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a very good point, with just what you need to be aware of given these kind of situations, and mainly what your comp is compared to the opponent comp. So yeah, I think that is that's going to be a key point here.
I was very surprised to see them pick zones when Clamblets was an option for them in the last game, just because I mean, ZESTFEST has so much more paint output, and they've done so consistently well at zones in every game we've seen them in today.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's, you know,
they're learning counter picks to be fair. It's new to them
and
still.
I think rather than particularly the mode, it depends on what maps are within that mode of the pool that you can play. So kind of a two-layer thought process of what you want to go to given certain situations. So but yeah, the counter pick is now in the hands of Fatal Air, as ZESTFEST is still in a match point, still waiting on their counter pick to see what they choose as potential game deciding, set deciding game, or we could go all the way, go to game 7, but no, we are going to Rainmaker Hagglefish Market.
That's definitely something that makes more sense for them to me. It definitely seems like it favors the way they want to play the game. Has those open areas for the Brush and the Wiper to really cause a lot of problems with. The Wiper also will have a lot of space to build those missiles that they've been playing around. Yeah,
I think this, and you know, this is a fun stage, a fun mode.
It is.
You know, I had the pleasure of commentating this with Fusion for Proving Grounds last night of, okay, we'd always talk about, like, you can go mid, you can make that jump, it can be risky, but it's big points, or you can be a little cautious, get the checkpoint on left, but then you're kind of stuck there. You know, that's your determined path that you need to go. So we'll see what these two teams do, as once again, we are in match point here with Fatal Air ZESTFEST. We will see who will be crowned the champion pretty soon. ZESTFEST looking for one more game, Fatal Air looking for 2 in a row.
Yeah, and we are seeing those Lytras coming out again. Obviously, they're really liking the amount of pressure they can put on that E-Leader with that Zipcaster, because they were playing Dark Tetras earlier. So it's interesting to have seen this switch over in adaptation. Obviously, we're seeing the same comp here out of Fatal Air. They've been very consistent in what they've liked to run, and now they're going to be moving up with these missiles.
Yeah, they are going to be trying to get some of those missiles into, and not quite at the ready yet. They did get some off, but really didn't seem to do anything other than maybe displace a few members. But it's not really affecting ZESTFEST right now, as they're able to get some picks. They might be in a position to pick up this Rainmaker as the Killer Whale is coming out, but no, I thought that's when they were going to pick up the Rainmaker with the Killer Whale. They finally do it, and it looks like they are opting towards the mid checkpoint. Are they going to be able to get it? But no, they're going to go down. I honestly don't know what splatted them, if it was an E-Leader or a burst bomb of some sort, but yeah, just short of the podium.
Yeah, and we are seeing this Splash having this Crab Tank ready, probably going to try and use it to clear out mid to enable their teammates to get in, but haven't used it quite yet. Able to use a burst bomb to get a little bit of damage onto that 52 gal, keeping up the paint, keeping up the pressure as the Rainmaker's about to reset. They managed to take out the Lytras, which is absolutely huge for them. They're rushing down these last two players, not going to be able to find the pick, but they're getting close to specials. We're seeing the Crab Tank come out. Really love that they held it for this point, and it looks like they're going to be trying to set up for left. Either that or this Brush is going for a flank, not quite able to take out the Tetra though, and that is another 2-down situation for Fatal Air.
Yeah, Fatal Air once again needing to kind of capitalize, or ZESTFEST needing to capitalize on this opportunity. I say here you want to opt for the left side potentially, as the E-Leader was right there, but no, it unfortunately is not going to happen for them. But they are quick to get another pop, throwing the throwing the wall right in front of the podium. Looks like the Gal is just waiting for the perfect opportunity to pick it up, potentially get this dunk in. They finally do, breaking the checkpoint, and now still 2 players down on Fatal Air.
Yeah, and the Wiper sadly goes down to that pop. They managed to get the jump. That is a lot of points coming in. 21 is not an insignificant push by any means. It pretty much makes the other team feel like they need to take jump, even if it's not going to be their best plan. And they're looking to get some specials ready, push to 19, and they just can't seem to clear out ZESTFEST here.
Yeah, and that's what they want to do at this point, keep up the pressure. You know, when you are in control of the Rainmaker, keeping up the pressure, the enemy team, Fatal Air, is not going to be able to really do anything other than to scramble and just try and defend when you can get control of mid and build up your specials. So 2 minutes, 20 seconds remaining. Rainmaker is going to reset. We haven't seen any push from the side of Fatal Air just yet. and they might be in a position if this brush can get some picks. No, they unfortunately are not going to. I was going to say that would have been a perfect opportunity for them to pick up the Rainmaker and try and make a push, but we do see some specials online for Fatal Air. Missiles at the ready as they're going to try and avoid some strikes, avoid this killer whale as well. Watching for this flank from the light Tetras. Are they going to be able to get him in this 1v1? No. Tetra's going to come out on top, and this was looking pretty good for ZESTFEST.
You're very comfortable right now if you're ZESTFEST. You have had this map the entire time. Fatal Error has not touched the Rainmaker. They have just let it reset, and they don't feel a lot of pressure. They can keep the pressure up. I say as two of them go down to, I believe, a Splat Bomb. It was either that or an E-Leader shot. And we are seeing that 52 Gal having to back up into mid, throwing that wall. That 52 Gal has done an excellent job of holding space, but does go down as the missiles call them out, and the E-Leader is finally able to grab. But I don't know if they'll be able to make a successful push out of it with those tri-strikes coming out.
Yeah, tri-strikes and bombs going to be thrown at the Rainmaker, and they are going to go down just in mid, but pushed over here in this left corner. So they are going to maybe get the pop, but no, a few of their players are going to go down courtesy of the tri-stringer, getting some nice key shots. And this is actually very nice for the tri-stringer. You can just kind of lob some shots over this wall and really stir away some of the enemy team, as ZESTFEST still has control of mid, but they are going to be going a few players down now as Fatal Air trying to pick up the Rainmaker, staying alive, and now shooting towards this left side, maybe trying to make a push. A few specials coming out from ZESTFEST once again, but Nebula still in a very difficult spot to be in. They are going to go down, 3 players down now for Fatal Air.
Yeah, and it's just an awkward situation to be in because you feel like you have to make these desperation plays. But desperation plays never quite work, and if there's over a minute left on the clock, which when they were starting that there was, you just don't want to make them quite yet. Those are last 10-second kind of plays, and they just, at this point, are kind of out of time to do much. It's not game, but they don't have much to work with.
That's right, and again, Fatal Air has not had any opportunity to pick up the Rainmaker. ZESTFEST needs to just back off. They are going to have the Zipcaster come out. We are going to see some strikes. Are Fatal Air going to be able to pick it up in time? And no, ZESTFEST able to grab it at the last moment, and they are your LSL 30 champions.
Incredible gameplay there out of ZESTFEST, really knowing exactly what they need to do to win in a lot of map modes. Obviously, they had a couple games that they lost there, but overall, they knew how to play with each other, they knew what they wanted to accomplish, and they did a great job with it.
Capping it off with a high five there from the right two players. The best way to end your LSL run. Congratulations to ZESTFEST for winning. Again, 82 teams at the start, coming down to the final 2 in this best of 7 set. But yes, ZESTFEST winning over Fatal Air, almost pushing it all the way to a game 7, which, man, that would have been a long day for these teams.
Yes, these tournaments are definitely to some degree a test of endurance. They're not short, and they make you do a lot of work. But in the end, I feel like teams learn a ton from doing them. You get a ton of great experience, and you get to step your foot in the door of comp, which is always fantastic.
Indeed. And of course, a ton of great tournaments, really overall in the competitive Splatoon scene. Yes. But yes, of course, LSL catered towards the lower levels, and a lot of other that went on today, and a lot that went on today. So we appreciate you guys who are here for LSL. So thank you guys so much for all that you have done, watching. And again, of course, with such great competition, that's how we can bring you such great matches too. So yeah, thank you all once again. Thank you to our production crew, Jub behind the scenes, Parias and Rob, your TOs. And Nox, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at NoxRaven42. And where can they find you?
You can find me, FalcoFlyer, on Twitch, FalcoFlyer11 on Twitter, and we are going to go raid Milana, so please stick around for the raid, as she's probably doing Big Run. I'd imagine Big Run's still the thing. Yep, we've got some Big Run, so if you want to help us defend Undertow Spillway, join us on this raid. But yes, thank you so much for watching LSL 30 here on LSL Splat. We will see you next time.